All right, Coach Siegfried. What do you want me to address you as? Tom?
Yeah, that's fine.
Tom's good? All right. Well, I think that it's important to start our conversation, obviously, with your roots. You've been in basketball for a long time. This is not something that's new to you, especially coming into this year. You've had all these past years of experience leading up into everything that you're hoping culminates in a state title.
Yeah.
So I just want to get down. I think it's important for me to know. I think it's important for a lot of people to know. You grew up in Alliance, surrounded by great basketball minds. So how did that shape your approach to the game? Harry Falls, Rick Hairston, Jack Reynolds, all these guys.
Yeah. I was very fortunate actually to, obviously you can't control that those types of things when you're growing up, and I was very fortunate to be surrounded by great people, not to mention great basketball people as well. And at the time, you don't really realize it, and then later, obviously, you reflect on your experiences and really feel fortunate to have those people as mentors in your life and kind of showing you the way. And to go even farther than that, Coach Hairston and I were able to go against each other in a district final. One of the first people that reached out to me when I took this job as head coach was Coach Fales, who Alliance's gymnasium's named after, and then I've also coached against and have been mentored by Coach Reynolds. All those people are very, very important in my coaching life, along with my dad. My dad was one of my first coaches, and I think a lot of the things as I've gotten older that I do, I can attribute to him as well. For showing me the way of how to be a winner and how to lead young men.
Like you said, it all goes back to the coaches that you started with. And as you entered your coaching career, I'm sure you had a couple of struggles. So what were those kind of early coaching struggles that you had to jump the hurdles for?
Yeah, just figuring my way, just finding my way, finding my own unique way, even though those individuals, had their way of doing things. Just trying to figure out what worked for me, what worked for my staff, what worked for this community. This was a very, very sports tradition town. One of the things that really didn't happen here was just consistent winning in basketball. It was we had some great years. We had 3 or 4 good years in the early 90s that had phenomenal teams that got to the regional. We had a 20-0 team in 2000, but there are few and far between. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to have some consistency within the program, and I think the struggle was just trying to get everyone to buy into what we could be, making sure people understood what my vision is, because you can have a vision all day long as a coach, but until other people actually grasp onto that and believe in that, it doesn't really mean much. So I think the real big difference that's occurred over the last 10 to 12 years compared to the maybe first 5 or 6 years is there's been a lot of people buy into that. There's now fans that come to every game, and they believe that we're truly going to compete and win against some of these powerhouse teams, and they believe in what the words are that I'm saying.
Still looking back, when you started as the head coach, what was your big vision for the program? I know you covered it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just elaborate.
No, that's a great question, because it's really come in steps. When we first started, we wanted to have sustained success. And at that time, we were in the NBC, so that obviously means league titles. We wanted to be that team that the league ran through. And then, it got to the point where we wanted to play some of the big dogs. We wanted to make sure that we could beat, the big Federal League teams. We had a big win here. I remember it was actually my assistant's senior year, Coach Gramoy, against North Canton Hoover. They had Niles Evans at the time, and we beat them in our court. And I remember that standing out to me as a huge win for our program, because it wasn't just NBCs. We had a few under our belt at that point. It was now we were competing against the best teams in the county and some of the best coaches in the county. Coach Montgomery was the coach at North Canton at that time. And then it got to the point where, okay, let's step our game up a little bit more, and we started playing the Ignatiuses and some of the premier teams in the state of Ohio. We got a big win against Ignatius at Mount Union. So then we decided that when we became independent, we're going to start playing 6 or 8 of those teams every year, and then it became a national item. So it's just been the step, the procedure, and you got to have kids that buy into it. So these kids that are here now, they actually witnessed a lot of those things when they were in youth, when they were in middle school, and when they got here, it was just expected. If you were to ask them now, who do you want to play? They want to play those teams every year, and that just became kind of like what we do. At first, if you go back to those teams and the 2009, 10, 11 teams, even though they were really good, we wouldn't dare do that because we just weren't there yet. And it's nothing against them, we just weren't there. These guys have come up a little bit different. They've had an opportunity to come through all the way through the program, youth, middle school, skill development, weight training. And all those things have played into us being able to hang with teams all over the country. I believe for senior night, I think it was something like 13 different states that we've played over the last 4 years, and not only just competed but beat in that time. I know the reality of it. The reality of it is that you're going to have games that you drop that maybe the outside influencers think, oh my goodness, how did they lose that? But there's a lot of good teams that we play, and if you're not sharp one night, and maybe you are giving 100% effort, but maybe you just don't make shots, whatever, you're going to lose some games here and there. So one of the things I've always been very conscious of over these last, 11, 12 years that we've had these really, really high-level successful teams is trying to take the pressure off of the players. I really, really try to take it off of them. And when we had our regional final run and we lost to St. V's a few years back, our very next year, we had a motto that said bigger than basketball. And the reason I used that motto is, number one, I wanted to start giving back to the community more. But number two is I wanted the kids to realize that there's obviously something more than basketball. There's bigger things than basketball. Don't put this pressure on yourself, even though it's going to naturally be there to some extent. And then this year, coming in this year again, I wanted to do the same thing. And one of the reasons I really spiked up the schedule to almost an extreme amount to this year is just to make them realize, and I told them, I did not schedule these games to go 22-0. Like, we were going to lose. I know that sounds really bizarre at our parent meeting to say that, but we're going to lose games. Like, you're not going to go through this schedule and go 22-0, and that's okay. Because I wanted to be more prepared going into the tournament. And you never know what's going to happen in the tournament, but I want to make sure we had the best possible chance of doing those types of things, meaning playing in Dayton in a tournament, traveling a lot, so we're getting used to the travel that comes with the tournament, and playing those types of teams that are going to be in a Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, when people talk about Louisville basketball, the program, what do you want them to think? Consistency,
and very simply, the program. And I've explained this before, but I think it's really important to understand what that even means. It doesn't mean, a 12, state championships, maybe like a St. Vincent St. Mary, or, unbelievable success like some people have. It's more about the combination of a number of different areas. The community, all right. I think everybody sees what it looks like in here on a Friday, Saturday, Tuesday night. It's insane, okay? And I would challenge any school out there as far as a game night crowd and energy that we get from our six-man. It means the student section, which I think is one of the top 5 in the state, if not the best. It means our youth, who now we have, I believe, 13 youth traveling teams in our smaller community, which is, rivaled only by some of the larger schools like Jackson and Glen Oak. It means our middle school program. It means our parents. Everything about the community I want to be embraced. When I drive through town and see our leopard eyes on storefront windows and seeing the excitement it brings our community in the winter, that makes me feel good. So when they think of the program, I just want them to think of continued success, no letdown. You're going to see work ethic each and every night by these kids, which is basically what this town stands for. It's a blue collar work ethic town. They're going to grind it out no matter what. They're never going to give in. And at the end of the day, they're going to be very appreciative of everything that they have and all the support they get from this area. Some of the kids, the work ethic's there. We just have to give them the resources they need. Other kids, maybe you got to show them the way. You got to show them what they need to do to get to that next level. And then other kids just maybe need to go out to dinner and have a conversation about things that are going on in their life or whatnot. So we try to address, and when I say we, my coaching staff and specifically me, what each kid needs. And I think maybe a lot of the viewers out there are going to think this is kind of wild, but I can name most of my little dribblers, K through 2, and there's about 78 of them that come. I know them. When they show up and they give me a fist bump before the game, I know them. I know my 3rd and 4th grade travel teams. I know all the different levels and know what they need to see their development. A lot of times I'll know what they're going through as much as I can, and I think that connection means a lot. Kids like connection, and parents like connection. We try to do all we can. Obviously, it's never perfect, but we try to do all we can to create that complete program that are going to make people really, really be invested in what we do.
And now they're emulating that success. I mean, do you think a lot of the personability that comes from the guy's character that you build here really flows into the next generations?
Oh, 100%. There's no doubt about it that the lasting impact of those guys from the 15, 16 teams who I believe are 20-4 and 19-5, and we're talking 9 years ago, but that's the kind of success they had then. We lost in overtime to Warren Harding in D1, a team that had D1 talent everywhere. A guy went to West Virginia, a guy plays in the NFL right now, and we had a shot at the buzzer to beat him. Little old Louisville, right? And now you have these guys that are here, and these younger guys are looking up to them, and they're going to try to fill their shoes. And we talk about this senior class, which justifiably so. It's a great class, but our freshmen and JVs this year are 34-4 together. So they're 34-4. We have a 8th grade team that's 16-2, won the championship. Our freshmen won the championship over St. Ignatius by 25. So they're still coming. Like it's fun, and we're gonna, trust me, ride this wave as much as we can this year. But the next Bo Siegfried, Braden Gross, Ashton Marshall, Tate Aljancic, their names will be made next year, and that's what they buy into. That's why they wait. That's why we have juniors playing JV, because they know their time's going to be next year. I'm a much better delegator, and when you look at our staff, Coach Schillig, Nick Schillig is, he's got to be one of the best in the state of Ohio as far as prepping for games. His scouting reports, his attention to detail is incredible. The amount he usually watches anywhere from 7 to 10 films for each opponent we play. That's a lot of time, and he's in the private sector, and he still finds time to manage all that. Coach Gramoy, skill development, he's in here all summer long. Both of them work hand in hand with me. I'm the one that gets to walk around on Friday and Saturday nights on the sideline. I get to stand up, but those guys are behind the scenes. And then we have a great staff behind me. I mean, Coach Perez and Coach Wirtz are very, very, very instrumental in support. I trust them all immensely. Like for instance, tonight we have a tournament game. I'm sending both of them to go scout a different tournament game for us. There's not too many assistants that would give up, an opportunity to be in an atmosphere and enjoy it, to go to Twinsburg and, go watch random teams play that we may or may not play. But I know that's what's best for the program, and they'll do it. So those guys are, you can't put a value high enough on them. They really mean a lot. Not only are they great coaches, but they're great mentors to these players. I know our players. I know my son talks about them all the time at home, and they're going to be missed by these seniors as well. And I just really appreciate everything they've done, and especially our friendships that we've had.
Yeah, and you talk about how much influence they have on the players, how much they're doing behind the scenes that not a lot of people see. Unsung heroes. I mean, how much input do you let them have in day-to-day decisions?
So early on, I was going to control everything early on. As a young coach, I had control over everything, and now, there's times where Bo being the point guard at times, or BG at the post, or whoever, any of them, they'll have their own little talks with Coach Schillig about this play or that play and what we're going to do, and I have no idea. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what they're doing, and they have their own little relationship, and I trust them. And then there's other times where I'll be like, where's Bo at, or whatever. Oh, he's working out with Coach Gramoy in the gym, or whatever. And that even extended even farther to we use My Fit Life in town, who does all of our strength and conditioning, and then also our speed and agility. And Kaysen and Dylan at My Fit are unbelievable at that, and they have relationships with these kids that I can't put a price tag on. It's incredible, and you can't become a well-rounded young man without having numerous people in your corner. We have a spiritual counselor with us this year, Dr. Tim King, who has been helping the young men a lot as well. We have great administrators at Louisville. We have great counselors at Louisville, great teachers, and all those people together are all part of what we do, and I can't be more thankful. I just get a lot of the accolades that they actually deserve a lot of times, but it's a total complete package program.
What makes home games at Louisville so special?
It's just the total buy-in. Obviously we can't make anyone come. I think they appreciate how hard we play. I know that hustle plays, I always think, get a little bit more rise out of the crowd when they see these kids laying out on the floor or taking a charge or, those types of things. You can just tell what a community's values are by what they applaud. And you can tell what they believe in, what they want to see, what they want to be represented by. And when you look at a student section at a D3 school that darn near goes all the way up to the ceiling, from floor to ceiling, on a Tuesday night, and you see a community that shows up on a Tuesday night when they all have jobs and might be tired from work, and they've seen this a million times. Let's be honest, you have 22 games. We've had a lot of home games this year, but they still show out. They still fill that home side. And the crowds that we've had here, I don't know if they fully understand. We have one loss here in like 2.5 years. I don't think they fully understand what they mean to us. I know I try to say it as much as possible on social media, and I know others do as well from the outside. Like, you got to experience it as NEO, and you guys with the letter talk about it, and all these different people. But the full impact of what they bring to our kids, it's remarkable. When you're digging deep in the fourth quarter and you hear that crowd, get up on their feet and just carry you through the end. The Ignatius game, I think, is just a great example of that. I don't think anybody knew how to react after the game. Everybody was kind of like, when NC State won the championship, I know I felt like Coach Valvano just running around looking, like, who am I supposed to be? Yeah, I wanted the kids to do like their thing, and I'm looking around like it's just surreal. And you want to give everybody in the entire crowd 6-man hugs for what they bring. And I know the players play, I get it, but the energy they bring in this day and age, when you show up to other events, I've been at regional games and they have half the crowd that we do, and they're 2 steps away from a state championship. So just a credit to them, and they do mean a whole lot to us. I can't be more proud. You have this vision of what the ideal outcome will be when you coach your son. You really do. You sit there and you're like, man, this would be really cool if this and happens. And they're very lofty. Like, I'm a very lofty guy when it comes to goals, and I just don't believe in settling. Bo has surpassed all that. You just never know how things are going to play out. I know that he's a great young man. I'm so very happy with the young man that he's turned out to be, and the basketball player part of it is just icing on the cake. He is probably the most unselfish player that I've ever coached. He plays probably harder than anybody I've ever coached. He's one of the best teammates that I've ever coached. And he's just the glue guy. He's the guy that tries to keep everybody together. He's seen it behind the scenes. He knows what I expect. He knows. And unfortunately, a lot of times with your son, it comes with some unfair expectations from people. And I will say this flat out, that his freshman year, first half of the year, I didn't play him much varsity at all, even though he probably deserved to a little bit based on his skill level. But I wanted everyone to see kind of what I knew. And then once we hit that Jackson game at Jackson and he started playing more and Braden started playing more as a freshman, we really have never looked back since. So to say I'm proud of him would be an understatement. I just think he's the epitome of a great teammate, a great friend, a great program guy, and how his career's turned out with the records and the career assist, and going to Ashland. Just really proud of him. I'm very, very happy for him, and I'm also excited for him to move forward in his basketball career and see what that holds.
How do you balance being a coach and being a dad when you're on the floor?
So I've done a lot better job the last year and a half, probably 2 years maybe even, and meaning that I haven't let it carry over into car rides, evenings, weekends, because the expectations are so high. I have to sometimes put myself in check with him, because I've learned that his expectations of himself might be even higher than my expectations for him. So I've really learned that balance of sometimes support is even more important than drive. So I've tried to do a better job of being the best dad I can for him and not just worrying about the coaching side of things. Because I think once he got to a certain point, his sophomore year, he knew what he had to do. He knows, and if he doesn't reach those goals in a game or a practice, whatever, he's going to internally fix those himself. It's been really cool about the last year and a half where he will look at me now during games and say plays and basically run what he knows that we need to run. And I call very little now, to be very honest with you. A lot of our seniors, the ones that do it, Tate and Bo and BG and Ashton are, they're just so bright IQ wise. I can't even explain to you how much IQ they have. They really do a lot of that, and I think our relationship has really blossomed to the point where it's very, very healthy now with how we deal with each other. Oh, they're phenomenal. Like, they're just phenomenal. And I think college coaches are seeing what I see. And it's not even just this skill. Like, yeah, they're all good in their sports. We all know that. But it's more about who they are, their character, what they bring as a teammate, how they play the game, how hard they play, what type of person they are. And these people see this, and that's why a lot of them, yeah, they're going places, but they had multiple offers. Like, Ashton played 1 year of football, but he had multiple offers to go play football. He probably could have gone and played basketball somewhere if he chose to, but he chose football. Bo's had multiple offers. Braden's had multiple offers. You go right down the list. Tate is playing 2 sports. Like, I'm so jealous of that. That's like a dream, right? Everybody's like, well, when you leave high school, you got to pick one. Well, evidently, Tate doesn't have to. He's playing 2. Avery Andrachek is going to play college basketball, trying to decide still where he's going to play. I know he has some different options. Devin is going to go play college. Bailey is going to play college basketball. Colton Loy is going to go change the world. I think he's going to be like a mechanical engineer. Austin Wade is going to Clarion to play football. So, all these guys, I don't know how many people can say that you have 8 guys that are literally going to play college sport or, going for high academic accolades. It's just awesome. It's just awesome to see these guys not stop with just Louisville. They're going to go on and they're going to spread this type of character into other programs, and I'm proud of all of them.
Yeah, what has it been like just watching these kids grow into the people that they are now?
Yeah, it's just rewarding, because last year with Hayden, I went through the, trying to make people see how special he was, and then at the end of the year, obviously, he got a bunch of offers, and everybody kind of saw what we all saw here at Louisville, but to see so many of them get these types of things early, it's been tremendous. And then some of them are just waited for their own personal sake, and I don't blame them of where they're going to go. And just really proud of them. And I think it's the overall bigger than basketball mentality that's really helping these kids get on to the next level.
Yep. All seniors,
yep.
They're all experienced. So now this year, does that change the way that you coach?
Yeah, it does. It does, and I think you're probably the first person to ask me that all year, and it really does. And I was, open with them. I've given them a lot more leeway. I ask their opinion a lot. I've shortened practices to, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes at this time of the year because, I don't want to say they're old men, but they're old men. They've done this. They know what's going on. I know I don't have to worry about them being ready to play. And to me at this point, it's more about keeping them fresh, keeping them mentally focused, making sure they're getting their sleep, making sure they're getting their homework done. I know they're, taking high-level courses. And I just have a lot of trust in them. And, we have huddles. And it's not just me talking. It's them talking and saying what they see. Coach, why don't we run this? And, if we're truly going to do this together, which everybody talks about, we're going to do this together, that's what everybody always says, then you truly got to do it together, and you got to take what they say and go with it. And that goes for our coaches, that goes for our players, that goes for everybody that sits on that bench. And I've kind of changed the way I've done things, and we do a lot of team building stuff this year because they really want to be together. Probably the most enjoyable ones. We all went to Wasabi together, and catching food in their mouth, you just can't go better than that. So eggs at the volcano is big time, or flipping an egg up in the air. You never knew you could have so much team chemistry from that. So I think that you can never have too much team chemistry. So this year, I thought we had great team chemistry last year, but you have a whole nother year of growth on top of that. So you're looking at BG and Bo, which are 4-year letter winners, and Ashton and Tate were actually on the bench that year as well, and they're 3-year letter winners. And then you throw, Avery into that. You have an experienced Devin, Colton Loy, 2-year letter winner, been on our bench for 3-4 years. So all that plays into this. And I think when you see seniors, the playoffs is when it really comes out. Like, we don't want this to end. We don't want this to end. And I think that's how they feel. They feel like, okay, we have 3 weeks to play. Hopefully 3 weeks from today, we're cutting that down in Dayton. That's the goal, and they know that. And I think that really is a difference maker. And I think also living in the moment, not making things too much like, could this be the end? Could this be the end? At the end of the day, whatever happens. I know it's not going to be from a lack of caring or effort. And these young men will have this bond that we've created for a long time, not just with themselves, but with the coaches, with this community. And they've done some special things, but I'd be lying if I said that, there's not one more big special thing that we need to do, which is win state.
Last season obviously did not end the way that you would want it to. How long did that loss stay with you?
It's still with me. Yeah, it's still with me. And not because Glen Oak wasn't a formidable opponent, not at all. Like, they were a good team. And they were playing their best basketball at the end of the year. They had one of the best players in the state, and he's shown it this year in college in Ja'Cory. It just sucked because Hayden was a senior, and these guys had such tight bonds with him. You just don't want to see yourself lose a brother. He's been around so much this year, even though he's in college, just because he wants to see these guys do this. And we have magnets on our board in the office with all the kids' names on them, and Nigro's name is still there. I mean, he's still with us. When we do this, it's gonna be with him in mind as well, because he's very much responsible for why some of these guys are what they are.
You've said it, this team is all seniors.
Yep.
If it wasn't last year, it's this year.
Yep.
Is it championship or bust?
Yeah, that's just the way that I operate, to be very honest with you. I tell the guys all the time, we don't make excuses. There are no moral victories. If you get beat, you get beat. And at the end of the day, you have to kind of take it and move on. It won't be easy, but it's our goal, and to say it's anything other than that would be a lie. As long as I can remember, 6, 7, 8 years old, it's how I function. And I think when you become a coach, your players kind of buy into that, and they kind of become what you are, and they know. They know this is what we do. We're not taking the let's just try to get another district title. Let's try to go farther than any Louisville team and get to a Final Four. We want to go all the way. And then when we do that, then the precedent will be set that we want to go back. So that's kind of where we're at as a program. We've gone to Florida twice and won the KSA championship. We've gone to Torrey Pines. We've won a big game in overtime at Flying to the Hoop. We've won games on the road all over the state. We've played the biggest, baddest around. I think at one point it was like 22 D1 guys that we played this year between all of our games, the college D1 guys. There's nothing else we can see to prepare ourselves. Now you just have to go out and execute.
In late February, early March.
Yeah.
Each game can be your last.
Yep.
And you mentioned that yourself.
Yep.
Not only with your players, trying to put that past them and saying, hey, we don't want to think of this as the last time we can potentially play together. We can see this as an opportunity to move forward as a team together.
Right.
How deep does that run in the locker room culture?
Whew. It's deep, because I would say that it's probably like a unspoken trust between players and coach. I think we're all on the same page with that. I think it's just one of those things like, we want one more practice. We want one more film session. We want one more pregame meal. And I'm sure a lot of teams feel that way, but I think it's a little bit extra when you've kind of gone through the process the way we have and built it up to this point. I think maybe there's a lot of teams out there that they feel that way, but they're maybe willing to give in a little bit earlier than I think these guys will. I truly believe it will go down to the last second, win or lose, where these guys are fighting all the way to the end. And that's something that I can put my head on the pillow at night knowing that I have those type of warriors with me going into battle.
What would making it to Dayton mean for you, for the squad, for the community?
Well, I think to be honest, it'd be all of them together, and I think it's just be a lot of redemption for a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice. One thing people don't realize is from November through March, every weekend for 18 years, I travel to see my youth play. I go to every middle school game. All right, I 3-4 cups of coffee it might take, but I do these things because of the end goal. All right, the end goal of getting to that Final Four, and these players are just as invested. They've done these things with me. They've been there. They've put the time in. This community is just as invested. They put the time in. They've bought in. The sixth man. They put the time in. Every single part of everything we did. You can't have a weak link, and we don't have a weak link. Every single part of this community, this sixth man, these players, these coaches, these administrators, these teachers are all on board. And to get there would be rewarding, very rewarding.
And then winning it all. What does that say for the program? What does it say for you?
Guess I got to get another goal then at that point, because then we reached our goal. So it would mean the world. It would mean the world. It's ultimately, and I can say this with all sincerity, it ultimately won't be the most important thing. The most important thing, once again, goes back to a previous question of how they remember the program or how they remember this season or their experience at Louisville, because ultimately that's what's going to carry them through life. But to have that ring on your finger or a piece of the net from Dayton would definitely be rewarding for a lot of hard work.
You think Louisville we're doing championship rings if you make it?
Oh, 100%. Even if I have to buy them, 100%. Yes. And they will have the leopard eyes on them. I promise you that. Everything. Yeah.
Man.
All in.
You don't got a lot of time left. Your son's leaving.
Yep.
How much longer do you see yourself in the program?
Whew, that's something I've been asked a million times this season, and I can honestly, truly say I don't know. Each and every year, obviously the last 3 years, I didn't see myself going anywhere because Bo being here. But each year, I want to evaluate that at the end of the year, and obviously I would love for it to fit. Obviously I want to watch him play at Ashland, and to be honest with you, I want to watch Walsh, I want to watch Malone. I love watching my players play Finley with Will. But I got to really look at the schematics of it, like what it looks like as far as practices, because I never want to shortchange the guys that are coming. I can promise you this: if I'm on that sideline next year, those kids are going to get just as much of me as they can, and we're going to build off everything we do. I can tell you that next year's schedule is at Ed's, at St. V's, playing and flying. It's all the same. Like I'm not changing. Like my opinion on that type of stuff is, once you get there, like, why would you go back? Like, there's no way that I'm going backwards with anything that we do. We just have to raise the standards of the people coming in. But next year will be for hopefully after Dayton, and then some good communication with my family, and maybe Coach Ellenwood at Ashland saying, okay, what's your schedule look like next year? And I love coaching. I do. It's in my blood, as we talked about with your first question, and it would be hard for me to see myself not coaching, especially at Louisville. So.
But that you have left behind a pretty good staff to take it over.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I trust each and every one of those guys to do what we do and put their own little print on it. And that my coaching tree is, Coach Conley coached and played for me. He's head coach at Canton South. You had Coach Monner, who coached for a while down in Dalton. You have Coach Brown, who played for me. He had my first NBC championship team. He great success at West Branch. Now he's at Hudson. He's coaching. So these guys are all ready to go, making their own mark on things. And I'm sure Coach Gramoy and Coach Wirtz and Coach Prez, even though being younger, and Coach Schillig will be more than able to do that. And I would always still be around to help out and do whatever I can. I'd be a overqualified ball boy, passing the ball to some of the players if they need me around.
Not to toot your own horn, but would you ultimately say that this is the house that Tom Siegfried built?
I would say if I could ideally name it, all right, I would name it the program, just because I just believe there's so many people goes in. I would say I'm the person that organized all the people being in the correct place at the correct time, and making sure the buy-in was there and put the work in for it. That part I'll take credit for. But there's a lot of people, whether it's with their words, with their giving, with their support, maybe a pregame speech or a pregame meal, parents that have really invested in me and these kids, and that's how I would like it to be remembered when it's all done. It's just something that was pretty awesome to get to this level, which is far beyond anything I could see. And then at the same time, I don't want it to stop with or without me. I want it to continue to go on. So I have some good games to watch on Fridays and Saturdays because I can't sit still. So I have to be able to watch some good games, and I can't root for anybody else other than the Leopards. So I live in the community. I get my coffee from McDonald's. This is where I'm at. This is who's treating me right.
Louisville's it, right?
This is it.
This is it.
This is it. Louisville's the place.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Absolutely.
Take care.
You as well.